All right. Welcome into episode 8 of the NFL Seekers podcast. I'm your co-host Danny, here with my co-host Josh. Today we're going to be talking about the AFC NFL draft grades for the NFL draft. We're going to go over each class for each AFC team and grade each class. So how you doing, Josh?
Doing good. It's already been 8 episodes already. That's
I know it's
crazy.
crazy. I was
Crazy to think about.
double checking that. Yeah, crazy.
I'm excited. I'm excited. The draft turned out great. It was super fun. A lot of surprises, of course. It's always fun to have your own rankings and then to go into the draft and see how all the GMs and everyone actually have their rankings. So it ends up being totally different. But yeah, let's get right into it. Let's start grading.
Yeah, let's get into it with our grade for the Baltimore Ravens, who originally picked 23rd in the first round. They picked Zay Flowers. I liked the pick. He complements their offense well. That's by far their best pick and their most impactful pick day one. I'm going to give them a C plus just because I think Zay Flowers is the only impactful player in this class day one. I feel like Simpson, Robinson, Blue Kelly are all just developmental pieces for the future. So they got a lot of future potential starters, but Zay Flowers is the only really day one impact / starter. So I'm going to give him a C plus. It's a decent class, but not too much impact for a team trying to compete right now in a good division.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that grade. I have him at a C as well. Zay Flowers, I like the pick. I think he's ultra dynamic. He's going to be a good player. But there's a couple other picks that I liked in their draft class. I did like Blue Kelly, where they got him at that spot. I think Trenton Simpson in the third round was also really good value. But yeah, these are guys that are going to be developed pieces. But also a pick that I gave an A for is picking Andrew Voorhees in the 7th round. I mean, that's a dude that could have gone second round if healthy. But obviously, you're going to have a redshirt season with him because he's hurt for the year. But that's tremendous value with Voorhees right there. So that pick alone is an A, but overall, the draft grade is a C from me.
Yeah, of course, it's the Ravens that get Voorhees. It's always the Ravens that get these linemen that fall, and he's just going to be a Pro Bowl guard for them down the road. So, but yeah, Voorhees, Blue Kelly, Tavius Robinson, and Simpson will all develop into eventual starters. Kind of just rotate in on special teams. But yeah, overall decent class. Not the best, but let's move on to the Buffalo Bills, who had a class that we both absolutely loved. I give them an A. Simply, they got an A. They got Dalton Kincaid, Osiris Torrance, and Dorian Williams in the first 3 rounds. That alone gives them an A for me. I absolutely love the Dalton Kincaid pick. It's going to be such a fun weapon in that offense, playing in the slot and at a tight end, just with Josh Allen. It's going to be a great connection. Osiris Torrance is a big need and great value. And Dorian Williams is honestly a pretty good Tremaine Edmonds replacement the more you watch him. And the last 3 picks are kind of just dart throws at potential, but I really love the Bills class, and I'm going to give them an A personally. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I'm going to give them a B just because of the top 3 picks. I didn't love the 5 and their 2. But obviously those are 7th round picks. They didn't have too many picks in this draft. They had 2 7s and a 5th for the last 3 picks. But I'll give it a B. Obviously, I think the top half is an A. Dalton Kincaid, an awesome pick. I mean, they traded up to get him, which he shouldn't have been there at 26. They got tight end 1 in this draft class. Phenomenal pick. I mean, him day 1 with Josh Allen is going to be an impactful starter. Osiris Torrance up front. I mean, Josh Allen can take his QB runs right behind this guy, and he's just going to be a mauler, which is a fun one. And then Dorian Williams is one of my favorite players from this draft class. In the sense of he's one of the best coverage linebackers, ultra athletic, A plus Tremaine Edmonds replacement in the 3rd round. That's great value right there. And then the bottom 3, I didn't love. That's where the grades stop. But they got 3 day 1 impact starters, and then the other guys are kind of dart throws. But that's what you're doing essentially in the 5th to 7th round. But I didn't love the value. I thought there was better people on the board that they could have taken over those guys. So overall a B for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I definitely like that Bills class a lot. And let's move on to the Cincinnati Bengals, who had an interesting class. I absolutely love them pairing DJ Turner up with Dax Hill from last year, two Michigan players. They really revamped that secondary for the future. I think Jordan Battle could start day one because they lost Von Bell and Jesse Bates, obviously. So I think Dax Hill could start a free safety, Jordan Battle, strong safety, DJ Turner, corner. They've got a new revamped secondary and Miles Murphy rotating in with that D line. I really like the defensive additions. Kind of drops off on the offense later on in the draft. I don't love the end of their draft. Chase Brown's a good pick. I will say they need to just move on from Joe Mixon. Probably, I think it's time. Just move on from Joe Mixon. Chase Brown's a good player. It's pretty easy to get running back production. But overall, good class. I give them a B plus. I really like the defensive additions, and there's some potential. Charlie Jones could have a good slot connection with Burrow. So I like the class overall. I'll give them a B plus.
And they're going to be an A for me. I mean, I absolutely love this class. I mean, Miles Murphy at pick 29 was an absolute steal.
Steals.
I like the value of DJ Turner right there, end of the second round. You know, speed is something that's so vital to teams, and he's got it. You know, he's going to be an impact player just because of that speed he has. So I mean, I love that, and the dude's got tremendous upside. And then Jordan Battle's a guy that could have came in and been a you know, end of the first round, early second round pick last year if he would declared for the draft. So I think that's tremendous value right there with Jordan Battle. Love Chase Brown. That just feels like such a Bengals pick right there. I love that pick. I think he'll end up being a impact player, you know, throughout the season. Andre Yoshevich from Princeton. That was a cool pick too. That guy has blazing speed. I mean, to get that in the sixth round
He's
is
a
awesome.
solid player.
He is, yeah, no, he is. He's worth it. I mean, he's a dude. I think they were saying he's going to run 4.2, 4.3 speed. So in the sixth round, I love that. But yeah, overall, I'm going to give the draft class an A. I really think the Bengals. They picked well. They sat and waited for all these players to fall them. They got tremendous value, especially picking at 29. They got a bunch of impact starters.
Yeah, definitely got some future starters. I like the class a lot. I like what they've done the last few years a lot. I love that Bengals front office. But
Oh yeah,
move on to the other Ohio team, the Cleveland Browns. They didn't have any picks till the third round, but they made it. They didn't really make it seem like it because it looked like they had a full draft because they were just getting steals and steals all the way down the board. It was pretty incredible, actually. Just every single pick was just a value pick, and their GM killed it. I'm going to give them an A. It was incredible. I love adding the two Ohio State offensive linemen for absolute steals. I don't know why either of them fell. DeJuan Jones and Luke Whippler are both great players. I have absolutely zero clue why they fell. They're great players. DTR is fun to get him behind Deshaun Watson, just in case, you know. Cedric Tillman's a good boundary receiver behind DPJ. I just love the class. I'm going to give them an A. I think they did great for what they had.
yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, you look and their first pick was the round 3 pick 11, and they get Cedric Tillman, Siaki Ika, DeJuan Jones. I mean, those are 3 starters right there. I mean, each one of those guys can come in day one and contribute. I mean, Cedric Tillman, I love that pairing in the Browns offense too, because it doesn't feel like they've had that, you know, that bigger body X receiver for a while. I think Cedric Tillman. I mean, they do have Amari Cooper, which I kind of think of him more as a slot receiver. But it seems like Cedric Tillman is gonna step in day one and just be an absolute stud for him. That's great value. Siaki Ika, you know, he's that true one technique run stuffer. Third round, 35th overall in the third round. Amazing pick. DeJuan Jones, Luke Whippler. How? I sat there and Luke Whippler in the 6th round. I mean, this dude could have been a day 2 pick and we wouldn't even have really
It
questioned
doesn't even make sense. He's like the second best center in this draft, man.
Yeah, nothing about this made sense. DeJuan Jones, I mean, what's his concern? He's huge. I mean, he performed well. I mean, maybe a little bit of injury concern, I guess, is maybe what people are scared of. But I mean, really in the 4th round is what he fell to. I mean, A+ for the Browns. You know, I mean, this picking in the you having your first pick of the third round and coming out with this kind of draft is kind of ridiculous. So A plus for them.
And they definitely made up for the run defense production of Jadeveon Clowney with Siaki Ika and Isaiah McGuire, who are really good run defenders. So yeah, I just love the class in general. A. Let's go on to the Denver Broncos, who had an interesting
Denver
class.
Broncos.
My Denver Broncos. Interesting class overall, solid draft. They trade up for Marvin Mims, which is an interesting move. Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma. He reminds me of Tim Patrick, so it's kind of interesting. They've got Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Marvin Mims, Marquez Callaway. So I don't know what's going on in that receiver room, but he's going to be good. Sean Payton must like him. He's just a good all-around receiver. I absolutely do love the Drew Sanders pick. This is what saves the draft for me. Drew Sanders is the fit in general. And Denver is just perfect, sitting in behind Josie Jewell and Singleton, who's kind of similar to for a year, and then letting him just blossom as a starter. I think he's going to be a really good starter for Denver down the road. Riley Moss, I didn't love. I'm kind of torn about the Riley Moss pick just because he's a solid player. He was good at the Senior Bowl, but we picked him over Clark Phillips, some other pretty good corners, even Keely Ringo. I mean, might as well just take a shot over. We traded up for Riley Moss, so I'm not the happiest about that. JL Skinner, I actually love the fit. Really good third safety, box safety, could play in the slot. Just overall secondary piece for our defense, could play linebacker. I think he's a really kind of just a missing piece for that Denver defense. I think him and Drew Sanders will be really nice additions. And then Forsyth is a good interior piece that they needed. But yeah, I think it's a good overall draft. Good overall solid draft. I'll give it a B. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I like the players. Obviously, you guys didn't have many picks. I do. Marvin Mims was one of my guys. Of course, I was kind of sad to see him go to the Broncos. It hurt my heart a little bit. I was rooting for the Chargers to get him. Obviously, I didn't think the Chargers would go wide receiver first round. But Marvin Mims, absolute stud. I mean, it's the dude played under with Caleb Williams another season, and with Lincoln Riley, he probably could have, maybe even been a first round pick. I think he's drastically underrated. I think that's probably where I felt comfortable with him going in this draft. So I like the value there. Drew Sanders, he is a stud. I like the versatility of, he's kind of a, hybrid edge linebacker. I think he felt like a Broncos player when they drafted that, just a guy that's going to be solid. He's going to go
a
into
really
that
good
defense.
blitzer. Just a really good blitzer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Riley Moss, a little bit of a reach right there. I do like the player, ultra athletic dude. Not very often do you see white cornerbacks going, but he's a stud. He's fast. He's good. He showed out at the Senior Bowl, but he's a stud. Maybe a little bit of a reach. I kind of saw him more towards the back end of the fourth, fifth round, but if he's your dude, you got to go and get him. JL Skinner, he's a guy that's I think the only reason he fell, to the sixth round is because he's hurt. So that's good value right there. Box safeties, 6'4", 209 pounds. I mean, stud. That's what you want on defense. You want to have a box safety that can cover. And then Forsyth, yeah, much needed depth. So I'm going to give your Broncos. Can be biased. I'll give you guys a B too. I think that's a fair grade.
Okay. Yeah, and I will say we traded a 6th round pick for Adam Troutman, who's a 26-year-old tight end from the Saints, who's actually a pretty solid tight end. I think Sean Payton likes him, and he'll use him well. So you could add Adam Troutman to this draft class, I guess, which I really like in the 6th round. So yeah, overall solid class for the Broncos. Not bad at all. Let's move on to a much more exciting class, though, the Houston Texans. It was just one of the most fun classes looking back on it already. I mean, they get CJ Stroud, their future franchise quarterback, at 2, and then they trade back up. They trade a future first, so they traded up a lot, but they trade up for Will Anderson, the best defensive player in the draft. And D'Amico Ryans gets his hands on Will Anderson in this class. He gets his hands on Henry To'o from Alabama, who will be a good, solid linebacker for him and a developmental player for Christian Harris. I absolutely love this class. Dylan Horton. And then getting Tank Dell in the slot. for CJ Stroud. I love that. Juice Scruggs, their future center. I just think it's a really good draft. I'm giving them an A+. I feel like this is a class that they'll look back on in 10 years, and it's just a perennial draft class that they're just gonna look back on, and it's just franchise changing. So I love it. A+ for the Texans.
Yeah, I have to give them an A just in the sense that they got CJ Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. I mean, you got two guys that are your franchise pieces on each side of the ball. I mean, you're telling me all you had to do was give up, your first this year and a first next year for Will Anderson. I mean, that's value right there. I mean, think about what a premium edge rusher like Micah Parsons or something would cost. 3 first-round picks and a player or something. So, I mean, that is tremendous value to trade back up for Will Anderson. And just with those two, you give an A to the draft class. I mean, I don't know how they pulled off that trade and got back up there to get these two, but I mean, that's just an A+. The rest of their draft, there's some guys I do like. I thought Juice Scruggs is definitely a reach. I do like Tank Dell. I think he'll be a good developing a slot receiver in the NFL. He's a little undersized, but he was a stud and he showed out at the Senior Bowl. And then let's see who else is on there. Xavier Hutchinson. I like that value a lot though in the 6th round. I like Dylan Horton a lot too. So yeah, I mean, they're so top heavy with those two. You can't not give them an A just with having Will Anderson Jr. and CJ Stroud. But overall, I do like the class a lot.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just a perfect complementary draft to D'Amico Ryan's. Just every pick just kind of matches what D'Amico Ryan's wants and his mentality, and it's just a perfect franchise starter for D'Amico Ryan. So I'm excited to watch them in the next few years, and it's a perfect start.
100%. I'll be rooting for the Texans. I think they're a cool team, and I want to see them succeed.
Yeah, awesome draft. One of the most fun moments I've watched when they traded up for Will Anderson live. But their division rival, Indianapolis Colts, are going to get an A+ for me as well. I'll be honest. They
had a million picks, dude. Holy cow. What a draft to have this many picks.
They had a million picks, but they hit on a lot of them. They got a lot of value down that board, a lot of value. And honestly, almost every single one of these picks, they hit out the park. They got like best player available, best potential, best value. They got a lot of complementary pieces to Anthony Richardson in this draft, and they really revamped their secondary with Julius Brents, Darius Rush, and Jalen Jones all competing at corner, and then adding Daniel Scott, who's got a lot of potential at safety where they've needed safety help. So I love just getting a lot of competition and revamping that secondary, and getting Josh Downs in the slot for Anthony Richardson's really fun. I think he's a really good complement to their outside receiver, Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman. So I love this draft. Adetomiwa Adebawore, one of my favorite players in this whole class. The Colts really hit every pick out of the park. I can't believe Adebawore went that far in the 4th round. That's just ridiculous to me. But Jalen Jones, too, is one of my favorite players. He went in the 7th round. The Colts really just knocked every pick out of the park. And Anthony Richardson's in a really good spot to succeed. I'll be honest. He's in a really good spot. A+.
Yeah. No, I mean, they did a good job, on the consensus board, how most of us are thinking, they did knock it out of the park. I mean, they got value at every single pick. I mean, Anthony Richardson, it'll be fun to watch him. I like the system he's going into, especially with Shane Steichen. I don't think there's a better quarterback guru, especially with his type of football he plays to go learn under. And yeah, it was like every single person they drafted was just unbelievable value.
It was literally immaculate value for every single.
It doesn't even crazy. You look at this draft and it doesn't even, honestly make sense to me.
It's impressive. It's like if one of us went to draft, like a mock draft. It's pretty impressive.
If we did this in a mock draft simulator and we sent it out, everyone would laugh and go, yeah, right.
Yeah, no way all these players would be there. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, you'd get laughed at, and somehow you're getting Josh Downs in the 3rd round.
Just like I said for the Texans, this could be a generational class for the Colts. You're surrounding Richardson with a lot of talent. If he pans out to his potential, this could be a really franchise-changing class, man.
Oh yeah, what a draft to have 12 picks too. I mean, unbelievable. Darius Rush, 5th round. I mean, the whole entire thing was just ridiculous. I mean, Will Mallory in the 5th round, tremendous value. Jalen Jones, seventh, is unreal. Darius Rush, Blake Freeland, is even going to come in the fourth round and compete for a starting spot.
Yeah, even
As
Blake
Tommy
Freeland. Yeah, great offensive line developmental piece. He's got a lot of potential. Just let him learn behind some of your good alignment. I love that pick a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, they had 12 picks and they got, 12 value picks right there. So you can't not give them an A plus. You look at this draft and it seems fake, but they did it. It's pretty fantastic. So
Yeah.
yeah, A plus for me too.
Yeah. Perfect draft. Perfect draft. Chris Ballard. I'll give you all the props in the world. And
Yeah, that's
then
a great draft.
third AFC South team we'll talk about, the Jaguars. I give the Jags a B plus. Nothing crazy, but it is a really solid draft. They have a lot of picks, and the later round picks are a little iffy to me. I mean, I'm not going to knock them too hard. They're taking shots at throwing darts at players. But I love their first few picks. Anton Harrison's a great fit. One of my favorite picks in the whole draft, which is one of the most perfect fits. Brenton Strange is interesting. Tank Bigsby's interesting, but Ventura Miller seems like a Jaguar. He'll be good in that linebacker room. Abdullah's great value. And Antonio Johnson, I can't believe they got him in the fifth. I would expect him to go to like the second or third, but
Unreal. Another guy that just fell for no one knows why.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And
I thought,
Parker Washington in the slot as well. Like it's a really solid draft. I'll give them a B plus just because they got a lot of good value early on, but the later on is a little left to be desired.
yeah, for sure. And here's another team with a lot of picks, and I mean, I think they got tremendous value on a lot of picks, but I also think they reached with a lot of picks. I mean, Anton Harrison, A plus pick. Brenton Strange, in the second round, I would
Yeah, a
give that
little early. A
more of a
little
D.
early.
I feel like that's a developmental piece. But then you go with the next couple of picks and you get Tanks Bigsby, probably a D. And then you go down to Antonio Johnson and Parker Washington at where they were picked. Those are A plus picks. So I mean, I'm going to give them a B overall. Um, I thought there's a lot of reaches in this draft with a lot of the guys, but then again, you reach on a few guys in the earlier rounds, and then you get Parker Washington and Antonio Johnson in the sixth and fifth and sixth round, and that's just unbelievable value. And Derek Parrish is another guy out of Houston. That's a pretty fun prospect. I mean, he had like one of the best short shuttles of all time, and he was a guy that wasn't projected to be drafted, but just tremendous athletic upside. And so it'll be fun to see if he turns into anything. I know he's like a fullback slash edge hybrid. Played edge at Houston, but he's a fun pick. I like that pick. I'd give that pick an A in the seventh. But overall, I'm going to give him a B. A lot of reaches, especially rounds 2 to 5, and then all of a sudden they get a lot of value later on.
Yep. Good fun draft. And the main theme is they get Trevor a lot of help, and that's all that really matters is they're trying to get Trevor help. So I like it. Let's move on to the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. They get the hometown kid, Felix Anudike-Uzomah in the first round. Solid pick. Nothing crazy that'll blow you away, but solid overall. Safe pick. Kind of took that approach with the rest of the draft. Rice was an interesting pick. They took him over some receivers that are definitely better than him. He'll be all right. It's a good Juju replacement. He plays like Juju. Wanya Morris is a good offensive swing tackle, developmental piece. Shamari Connor will probably be a pretty good secondary piece for them. And then the rest of their picks are kind of just dart throws. But I'm going to give the Chiefs a B minus. Nothing too exciting, but the class will probably just contribute as depth for the most part.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at this class. I'm gonna give it a C. I didn't love their picks, and I didn't think they got tremendous value. But I mean, they'll be coached up under some of the greatest coaches, and I'll end up being probably pretty good because they have the Chiefs. But yeah, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, they were just one pick away from like a Nolan Smith. But yeah, that's like a C pick to me. Rashee Rice, didn't love him. Definitely a lot of better pieces on the board when they picked him. But then like Shamari Connor, I actually really like him. I'm pretty sure he'll be a stud. He just seems like he'll be a stud. I watched a little bit of him, and he feels like a Chiefs player, kind of like one of those L'Jarius Sneed type of picks, where they get a stud in the fourth round. But yeah, overall, I see the other three total dart throws. BJ Thomas out of whatever that college has never even heard of it. But yeah, and then Nick Jones out of Ball State corner, which is just total dart throws, but overall a C for me.
Yep, solid draft. Let's move on to their rival, Los Angeles Chargers. Your Los Angeles Chargers. And the main theme here is getting Herbert a lot of help, man. Quentin Johnston, great piece to add to that receiving core. And you're also getting some good defensive pieces too with Tilly Pilotu and Henley, and I mean, and Matlock, honestly. But they're actually some pretty good contributors. I think Henley can be a pretty good linebacker down the road, and Tilly Pilotu can be one of your better interior defenders or rushers day one. I like the TCU connections. It's fun with Darius Davis in there too. He's going to be a fun player, and you did draft him over some receivers that are better than him, I will say, but I'll give you the pass because he kind of complements your receiving core really well, and he's kind of the last piece that you needed, and he could contribute in the receiving or in the return game. So I like the pit. I like the draft. I'm going to give the Chargers a B plus. Good overall draft.
Yeah, I love that grade. That's the same grade I'd give him too, a B plus. I know I get a little excited talking about this, but yeah, Quentin Johnston, absolutely electric player. Super fun. Throw him in, an already stacked wide receiver room, and it's just that's going to be a fun thing to watch. Tui Tuipulotu, he's a fun guy too. I think he gets and the thing is these are two premium positions, so I think the first two picks are A's. I mean, you could have gone either way in the first round and gone a wide receiver second round, but I like the way it turned out. I love Quentin Johnston. He's one of a guy that I really didn't even like piece to the Chargers, but then when they drafted him, it made so much sense. And I don't know why I wasn't mocking him to the Chargers more. But an absolute stud. He's got every uncoachable trait. He's just got to clean up his hands and fix his drop issues a little bit. But he's an electric player. Deion Henley in the third round, tremendous value. One of the best coverage linebackers in this class. Recently we've been watching a lot of interviews and everything on him, and he's just a great dude. He's fun to watch. He's lively. He's got one of those, he's a real locker room guy. He lightens up the room. He's funny. And then Darius Davis, who you talked about a little bit. Obviously it was a little bit of a reach, but they went out. They obviously loved it. They love their TCU guys this year, and they always it's kind of a trend with the Chargers from Brandon Staley is they like winning teams, and so any team that does good, they try and attack that school. And obviously Darius Davis, Quentin Johnston, and Max Duggan all come from that winning culture and the best season ever in TCU history. But Darius Davis is electric. I mean, he's going to be day one punt returner, special teams guy, and then he ran a 4.36 at the combine, so he can come in, and him and Jalen Guyton, which all the Chargers fans, we've been begging for speed. So we've got 2.43 dudes now. Jordan McFadden, great value right there with that guy who's a 4-year starter, played the most snaps in Clemson history as offensive tackle, kind of like a Jamari Sawyer. And then Scott Matlock, fun player, and Max Duggan, just a better Easton Stick. That's all I expect from him. I just want you to be better than Easton Stick. I want to move off of Easton Stick next year, and hopefully this guy can be a solid contributor just to be a backup quarterback.
No, honestly, for a seventh round pick, like Max Duggan is better than Easton Stick, and he can be a good backup for years and be like a contributor in the run game, kind of just put him in for Wildcat every once in a while. I feel like that isn't a bad pick at all with the TCU connection as well.
Yeah, and get all three guys from TCU. It's fun. But yeah, B plus draft for the Chargers. I'm excited. It makes me smile talking about them. It's a fun draft.
Yeah. And then with their rivals, AFC West rivals, the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to give them an A minus. They got great value all the way down the board, and it was a really balanced draft. They kind of went defense, offense, and Michael Mayer, really safe player that's just going to complement Jimmy G really well. They're going to have a solid connection, and he's going to be a good, solid starting tight end, reliable starting tight end for them for years to come. And we talked about Tyree Wilson. That's obviously going to be a great duo with Max Crosby for years and years to come. Byron Young's a really good value pick. I like Jacorian Bennett, good value again. Christopher Smith, great value, and Nesta Jade Silvera is great value. So I like a lot of these Raiders picks, and I think they really knocked it out of the park this year. I'm gonna give them an A minus.
Yeah, I really like their draft too. Sadly, I don't like to say it because I hate the Raiders. They did really good. I mean, Tyree Wilson, arguably could have been a top 5 player. Lucky that there's quarterbacks that were taken before because they got tremendous value right there. Kind of reminds me of Jason Pierre-Paul, but he'll come in. He's going to be a stud. I mean, he's got Max Crosby on the other side and even Chandler Jones to learn from. That's a great pick. And then Michael Mayer, how does he fall in the second round? And I was so mad at the Lions. I was like, oh, just why didn't they take him? I didn't want to see him on the Raiders, but they traded up and got him. That
Of
was a great
course.
value pick. That's an A pick. He should have never been there. He really should have been, back end of the first round. He shouldn't have fallen into the second round. And Trey Tucker, he just feels like a Raiders player. But and Christopher Smith, also in the 5th round, that's tremendous value. I mean, he didn't test well, but you watch his play speed and everything. He ran a 4.62, which scared everyone. But he moves so much faster on tape, and so him falling into the 5th round is an A+ steal for the Raiders. So I'll give them an A2. They every pick it seems like they got tremendous value, and on the consensus board seem to hit everything with it. So A for me too.
Yep, super solid. Let's go to the Dolphins, who we're gonna go down to earth a little bit. I'm gonna give them a C. It was honestly just a super mid draft overall. I don't mind Cam Smith at the top. You might lose Xavier Howard soon. You never know. Jalen Ramsey, you need a third corner. Cam Smith is pretty solid and he fits that scheme really well. So I don't mind that. Devon A-Chain also fits the scheme really well, I'll say. I just don't love him as a player. You took him over some running backs that are probably a little bit better, but I don't mind that pick because he is really good in that McDaniel scheme. So I'll take that. But I don't really like the Elijah Higgins. He's never really done anything pick, or Ryan Hayes, just a few developmental picks, but nothing exciting, just really mid, nothing to get you excited about. See.
Yeah, nothing at all. I mean, they already have. I mean, every pick there was no value in the pick. It was nothing to fill a position of need. They really didn't help their offensive line, which is arguably one of the biggest
Yeah.
focal points that they should be focusing on. I mean, they go 7th round offensive lineman when might retire soon because he's getting so many concussions. Might medically retire. But I mean, it's not like I'm just hating on what they did. I don't feel like they improved their team much. I feel like they added to an already stacked corner room. I love Cam Smith. I think he's a great player. And that pick in the 2nd round, I would be an A pick for me. But other than the fact that there's just, they're adding to an already stacked secondary room, which is fantastic. But the same thing with Devon Achane. You already got a running back that runs 4.3. Seems like they have 4 running backs on the roster. They, kind of the
They're all the
49er.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all the same player. And it's like, yeah, this dude's electric, but you got 3 of the other same dudes already on your roster. Why are you drafting him? Let's improve your offensive line. Let's improve your tight end. Let's make the team a little bit better instead of adding backups. But yeah, this one gonna be overall a D grade for me. Didn't love the draft, love the value of what they took. I mean, I like the top 2 players, but then they only have 4 picks. But I like the top 2 players. Didn't love why they picked them there and how high, for their only 2 picks.
All right. Then the New England Patriots. I'll say right now, the Christian Gonzalez pick is an A+, 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 and that makes his grade a lot better, their overall grade. The Patriots swung at a lot of pieces. Pretty much, they have a lot of picks, and pretty much every pick was just a complete dart throw at a potential and upside. Really, I mean, a lot of these players are raw, and a lot of them are gonna be playing now, and a lot of them are upside. Like obviously, Kayshon Boutte is a complete perfect example of that. He's a lot of risk and upside, but he has a lot of potential. So, and I will say the Patriots got away with some really good future offensive lineman pieces that will be starting, I'm sure. Marte Mapu is really fun, pairing him with Kyle Duggar and a few of those other safeties that they have. I mean, it's really fun. It's a
The most
super solid
Patriots
overall
pick.
class. I'm going to give him a B+.
Marte Mop is the most Patriots pick of all time.
Oh
Guy
yeah.
from Sacramento State starts getting love and hype. And then, they're like, you know what? He's starting to get love and hype. We got to take this guy in the 3rd round. So it's always kind of fun to see what the Patriots do. But yeah, I mean, they throw their darts at all upside players. But yeah, Christian Gonzalez, unreal. I mean, the players that were taken, he should have never been there. He should never. They traded down and got Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Picked up an extra fourth. So brilliant. I mean, I don't know if they could have predicted him being there, but the Redskins, the Patriots could thank them for that. Unbelievable value with Christian Gonzalez. Keon White, of all teams that he could have gone to, I like that he goes to the Patriots. I mean, they're so good at developing people on their defense. But yeah, I mean, they had the same amount of picks as the Colts. I didn't love their picks like I love like the Colts picks. So I can't give them an A for that, even though Christian Gonzalez is, like you said, knocked it out of the park, A+ grade. I feel like it's a fair grade to give them a B. They had 12 picks. I felt like they could have done a lot better. Not saying they didn't. They throw their darts at a lot of upside picks. So I would have liked a lot of people. I mean, I like Marte Mapu, but I don't like him in the third round. I think Antonio Mafe, guard, that's a great pick. That's tremendous value. But then the rest of these guys are a lot of just upside. So I'm going to give them a B.
Yep, a lot of throws of potential for sure. But onto their division opponents, the New York Jets. We're going to be talking about Will McDonald, who was kind of a reach. Not great value, but he will be a good pass rush specialist in that solid defense. I'm going to give the Jets overall a B. I love Joe Tippmann. That's obviously a great pick, getting Aaron Rodgers as center, the Jets center of the future. Carter Warren's a solid swing tackle. Israel Abanikanda is a fun running back while Breece Hall is recovering. Really good athletic running back. And Zach Kuntz with the most possibly potential of any tight end ever to get in with Aaron Rodgers. I love that in the 7th round. It's fantastic value. Overall solid class. I'll give the Jets a B.
Yeah, no, they did have a really good draft class. When you look at it, a little bit more. I mean, Zach Kuntz in the 7th round. That's ultimate value. I mean, that's I don't know how he falls to the 7th round. A lot of people are talking about him being there in the 2nd round, getting picked that high. But somehow a 6'7", 255-pound tight end who is the most athletic tight end apparently ever, because that's what he tested like at the combine, falls to the 7th round, which just makes no sense. I do really like Will McDonald. I think that was a little bit of a reach, but you make up with it with getting Joe Tippmann in the 2nd round. That guy, I mean, he possibly could have been a 1st-round pick. He'll be a fun center. That's a great pick for Aaron Rodgers, 6'6", Mauler from Wisconsin. I really liked him in this draft process. And then Carter Warren, like you said, great swinging tackle. Good little backup running back. But I'll give it a B.
All right. Perfect. All right, and then on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just A+, A+, A+ for the Steelers, really. Unreal class. I can't believe they got Joey Porter Jr. in the 2nd round after getting Broderick Jones, their franchise left tackle, in the 1st round. It's just unreal class. Fantastic value down the board as well. I mean, getting Keanu Benton, one of the best defensive linemen in this class, who as a Steeler will be like a 10-year starter, legend as a Steeler, you just know. Darnell Washington in the 3rd round is just hilarious value. That, of course, he's a Steeler as well. I mean, it's literally just laughable. Nick Herbig is just a Steeler player. Great value, can play on the edge with Watt. And Corey Trice is one of my favorite corners in the draft. They got in the 7th round. I would have taken him over Riley Moss, who the Broncos took in the 3rd round. So absolutely great A+ draft for the Steelers. I love it so much. One of the best in the class, if not the best. Oh
yeah, I mean A+. I mean, they were able to trade up for Broderick Jones. Absolutely confused the Jets war room. I mean, you should have seen it. It was so funny. We were watching it together, and you watched the Jets war room, and they didn't even know what just happened. I mean, that they were able to pull off that trade, get Broderick Jones. I mean, and he's just such a stud. He's going to be such a fun player to watch with the Steelers. He's a mean mauler. He's a fun offensive lineman. And to pair him with his other Georgia teammate, Darnell Washington, I mean, Najee Harris, future fantasy owners, you're going to love that. The 6th lineman is what he calls himself, and I mean, he's a stud. I mean, and it was almost the last pick I think it was the last pick of the third round or whatever, the second to last. I mean, Darnell Washington, extreme value. Keanu Benton, you said it all about him, but Joey Porter Jr. just felt like a fairy tale. You know, they trade up, get Broderick Jones, and then Joey Porter Jr. is the first pick of the second round to them, who they, you know, traded Chase Claypool for, which I'd rather have Joey Porter Jr. than Chase Claypool. And so it just felt like a storybook right there when they drafted him. You know, his dad being the former Steelers player, but every single person, like you said, Corey Trice was one of actually my favorite corners too. I thought he was, I mean, 6'3", 206 pound, ultra lengthy, long, physical corner that probably should have gone in the fourth round, you know. So getting him in the seventh round is unbelievable value. I mean, every single pick, you know, you go down the whole list. Even Spencer Anderson, not many people know about him, but I mean, he's going to be a solid, you know, guy that can hopefully one day actually come and compete in for the starting guard job. But A+ pick, A+ everything from them. So A+ drafts, great job Steelers. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, I love this class. It was master class. Just like you said, it was just a fairy tale. It was beautiful. And then the last team we'll talk about today for the AFC is the Tennessee Titans, who I really was impressed with their new GM. He kind of stood composed and just took Peter Skoronski in the first round, and then he went up and took Will Levis in the second round because he shouldn't have been there. Really, simply, he shouldn't have been there. And I give the Titans an A- because this class has the potential to be a franchise cornerstone draft class. Has the potential with Will Levis and Tyjae Spears, who have great potential together to be a great duo. Once they move on from Derrick Henry or whatever, Tyjae Spears is a great running back, and Will Levis is a great quarterback. And I think he could start day one. They could just move on from Tannehill right now. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea at all. Wiley is a good complementary tight end to what they have with Chigo Okonkwo. And Jalen Duncan is a great young offensive tackle in the sixth round. It's just a steal. So I'm going to give the Titans an A-. I love the class.
Yeah, I thought they did. I thought they did amazing. I mean, they got Peter Skoronski with the, you know, who can play, probably, you know, honestly has Pro Bowl potential at either, but I mean, has all pro potential at guard. So that's a great value pick. And the lineman went fast. So, I mean, you watched all the linemen go and they were going fast. So, I mean, that was a great pick. And then, yeah, I mean, they could have taken Will Levis with their 11th pick and no one would have questioned it. I mean, there was like a 3% chance that Will Levis was supposed to fall out of the first 10 picks. And, you know, I was kind of hearing, I was trying to figure out why people were, you know, not taking a chance on this guy. Cause I mean, dude, you look at him and he's built perfectly. I mean, he's 6'4", 230 pounds. He's a built dude. You know, he's mobile too, which is, you know, great for a quarterback that size. And he comes from a Kentucky school where he went and competed and outplayed, you know, Anthony Richardson, who was taken fourth overall and with a worse team. So, you know, so I mean, the upside was crazy there. I mean, I was hearing that he's, you know, there's a little bit of character concerns with him is the only reason he was falling. A lot of people didn't like, I don't know, they kind of gave him the cocky vibes is what I was hearing. And a lot of GMs got turned off by that, you know, his little muscle t-shirt picks and everything like that is, I guess, I don't know why that would throw you out of there. I mean, the dude's confident. Maybe he's a little bit of a cocky prick, but worth, I mean, the size and everything's there. He's worth, I think, was worth the top 10 pick, and they got him in the second. So they traded up, got him. I love him being with Mike Vrabel on an up and coming offense, you know, who just drafted Traylon Burks. You went and got a young Tyjae Spears. You know, you can hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. So I really like the whole draft class that they had. I'll give them a B+ for me. I thought the value of everything was there. I really like Josh Wiley too. In the fifth round, that's tremendous value. A big tight end. Mike Vrabel's gonna love that. He'll develop him really well. I promise you that. But yeah, I'll give them B+ for me.
Okay, awesome. And that'll do it for our recap and grades of each AFC team's NFL draft. That was really fun. I'm excited to talk about the NFC because there's a team like the Eagles who had a really, really exciting draft to talk about. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about the NFC. It was a fun episode. There were some really great drafts in this AFC, including the Texans and Colts of the AFC South. So yeah, but thank you guys so much for tuning in to the NFL Seekers podcast. Catch us on all platforms, and we'll have the NFC episode out later this week. So
Yes, sir. It was a fun episode. Can't wait for next week. We're actually probably filming in a couple days. The whole NFC. So let's get to it. This is fun.